They should be working now.
Check.
The mic's on? All right, I'd like to call to order the Downtown Development Authority Board meeting. It's Monday, May 13th, 2024 at 12:03 p.m. Liliana, can I get a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Vera Woodson,
Present.
Mark Denkler,
Present.
Christina Godbout,
Here.
Brian Rosen,
Here.
Cole Davids,
Here.
Aaron Halliburton.
Here.
All right, the agenda, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Liliana, may I get a roll call?
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Mark Denkler,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
Yes.
Moving on to public comments and partner reports. We'll keep these limited to 2 minutes. For those speaking, please provide your name, address, and when speaking at the podium. Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
Hi, I'm Mavis Benson, 800 Greenswood Court. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a merchant on the avenue, and that's probably the biggest thing I have that supports everything that I have faith and trust and believe in. A couple of issues that I'd like to bring before you and see if I can get your support on this. And I had hoped that perhaps someone from the police or whatever would have been here to address the issues of, we're still having a lot of noise throughout the downtown. I bring it back because actually, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I had people visiting from Texas. They said they would love to come back, but the noise issue was something that really put them off about being in our quaint, charming little downtown. As they described it, they loved it, but that was a real negative issue as far as they were concerned. Season was good. It was a little bit challenging this year because it did get off to a slow start with the weather and everything. So everybody was trying to make up from last summer being slow and then the beginning of season being slow. I think for the most part it did take off for everybody, but now we're at summer again, and we don't know what's going to happen as far as weather and everything goes if it's like last year. So if we could give some thought perhaps to maybe looking at using our smart meters and using them this summer by perhaps offering either meterless Mondays or going across the board and having, instead of a $4 an hour, drop it back to $2 an hour. I know a big part of why people felt that we should bump it up was that there are people from out of town coming to visit, and they're New Yorkers who are snowbirds that are down here, and they don't mind paying that. Right now we're really looking at our loyals, and if we're asking our shops, offer discounts, it would be nice to have a partner in the city to think that they would meet us there as well with offering some type of discounts. So that is what I have to say today. Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question? Mavis, what noise are you talking about? What noise?
It's
Traffic noise or what?
Traffic noise, yeah. The sound, the motorcycles are so loud. The music in the cars is so loud. Revving of engines. I mean, we could attack one, maybe just the radios or that sound. If we could tackle that, and then maybe, I know the trickier one is the exhaust or
Yeah.
the sounds that the cars make. So just the music levels would be a big help.
Awesome. Thanks, Mavis.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification, dude.
Well, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I know.
The red golf cart's back, but he's not playing music.
Yes.
But he wasn't playing music, was he? I haven't heard him.
He times it.
Oh.
I think he stops on my block. and then maybe bids it later on. So he should be monitored.
So, good.
Hi, Ron Platt, 5120 Pineview Circle, Delray Beach. I was just more going to ask you a question than speak about something else. I was wondering, with the amount of closures of restaurants in a short period, pretty much, I would say within 6 months or even 4 months, even starting during the season, some of them. What do you think is the reason for that? Is it because some of the higher price restaurants are closing, or the rents are too high, or the owners want to replace the building in the case of Lionfish with something else? And I think it should be addressed by the DDA. If you haven't already, you probably have. But can I go around the horn or just ask you, some of you? No? You don't want?
We could talk about it when we're talking about our general stuff.
This
but I
isn't a
think-
discussion.
Can one of you talk? The realtor, the
Yeah,
chairman?
Again, we'll talk about it when we're in
Okay.
our discussions, but I'm not.
So,
this is
okay,
just a
fine,
public
thanks. I
comment.
just wanted
I
to,
will bring it up.
I just wanted to make a point of that, though. All right,
100%.
thanks.
Yeah.
We're at public comment. Bill, we started. Perfect.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh, people I don't know, how y'all doing? Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Ridley. I live at 210 Northwest 2nd Avenue. I'm here today to speak on a couple of projects that we're going to hopefully be partnership with DDA in our community. One of the things that we have done since be our 5th year, doing our 12 days of Christmas, that we have provided over we do 12 days of getting community involved. And it's one of them that we will probably be asking maybe 2 of the things or 3 things on the agenda. And next time I have a calendar to pass out, so you can as well follow us for 12 days of Christmas. I'll be coming to the board maybe to ask for some donations. Last year we did it at Libby. That's where we did our big pajama party. And last year we have outgrown that space, and as I think we had over 300 or 400 families that came out. It's a free event that we bring to the community for the evening. And we also have partnered with CRA as well as helping out and giving things in our community. So now we have to block the street off now because we have just grown this program into such a large community event. So I'll probably be asking for some help in filling out your scholarship or whatever you asked for. So I did meet with Laura already and gave her a list of things that we'll be asking for assistance with. So hopefully by December we have got this good partnership and meeting you a little bit more, so I'll be familiar with your name and who you are, because that's very important to me as well. So you'll see my face a lot. And that's just, I'm a community organizer, so from the set, so I'll be doing a lot of things. So today I just want to pretty much introduce who I am and the things that we'll be actually doing in this community. And hopefully I'll put you on board with us as we begin this journey, a new journey with community connection. And then that it's a community partnership that we hope to start on the other side of the fence and bring this fence together and mend it, that we all are one in the community and that we're not left off. And something that's new that I first time ever been in asking for assistance and getting involved with the DDA as well. So thank you. And next time I hope to meet you and see what your name is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for volunteering for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for coming in our meeting and introducing yourself to us. We really do appreciate it. And also the notice. You know, having 6 months to work with you is a great amount of time, and I feel confident we can figure some things out. So we appreciate that as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ann Stacey Wright. I reside at 225 Southwest 7th Avenue, and I'm here today to talk about 28 Days of Black History. Last year we had 29 days of Black History, and we're looking forward to, as Cynthia said, connecting and working with the DDA and assisting on our project. The 29 days of Christmas was actually 29 days, and Cynthia and I were the spirit the whole the event, and we're just looking forward to seeing, partnership, as she said earlier, with the DDA, and look forward to seeing some of your faces at our next event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question, Ms. Wright, is this in partnership with the Spady Museum also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I've already made a donation.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Howard Sherman, 1 Harborside Drive, Delray Beach, and Dee Dee.
I'm Dee Dee Atkins, 32 Southeast 2nd Avenue, Delray.
We just want to introduce ourselves as an offshoot of the Delray Beach Art League, which dispersed a few years ago. So we formed an Art Connect, and that's a group of artists, hopefully musicians, all type of artisans, and we're hoping to support art in the community. And that means artists, art lovers, just create a passion for art and help beautify the city, perhaps by doing art shows or have art in storefronts. And we both are involved with the Delray Beach Collective, which is next to Lemongrass, and we hang art in there. And just want to introduce ourselves. We have Park and Recreation supports us. We have a monthly meeting where we invite people in the community and the region. And we have a website now, Delray Beach, ArtConnect.PalmBeach.com. And hopefully we'll be more active and help make Delray Beach an art and music destination. That's the goal. So hopefully you'll hear more from us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you make sure that Maruska right there gets your information? I'd like to reach out to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sherman is already one of our museum store artists.
Very good.
We've been connected for years for art and jazz.
I just want to see if he wants to flea mingle with us.
Yeah, that's a good. We have this information. the
Very
sign-in
good.
sheet.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody should have signed in too, please. Anyone else?
Any other public comment? All right, we'll be closing public comment and moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any comments on anything on this consent agenda from anyone?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a couple comments, just real quick. But, again, some things I just wanted to point out. I went through it quickly, and I know that I wasn't available due to some family things going down the end of last week. But just like looking at the budget that is on this consent agenda we're approving, there were a couple items that, I just want to bring up so that next time, when we get together, we can just go over them. And again,
Sure.
we didn't have time to go over it pre-meeting.
Okay.
But, looking at and I'm generally a bigger picture guy, so I just look at what's our budget, how much have we spent a year, of our budget, and where are we going to end up. And, there's just a couple things I want to understand a little bit better. I know we're, at, what is it? Again, some things like the meetings and conference training, I know we're at 80% of our budget, and I know we're looking at doing the goal setting stuff, the strategic planning, so I just kind of want to see how that fits out there. It's just small stuff, the phones. We're at, 94% of our downtown program and events budget. We had 160,000 budget, and we're at 150,500 spent. And just there's a couple other ones that we were just pretty high, with some of the special events and stuff based on our budget. I know there's other places we can move some funds around and just kind of understand, kind of where we ended up on some things. I know, the museum activations, are 181% above. We had 17,000 budgeted. We spent 30. Amphitheater and park,
So, yeah,
things.
just so some points to that, just at our, later on in the agenda, we are amending our budget, so that will reflect some of that's where we are now mid-year. So what we propose and where things are realized and things change, such as legal fees or administrative fees, those things are adjusted mid-year as part of our requirement to do.
Perfect. Yeah.
So
just,
that's
yeah,
as we go through, and later on in the agenda, we'll walk through all of that for you.
Mr. Chairman, I know that we all have the opportunity to have a one-on-one session with the executive director prior to our meeting. Is that not happening? I wouldn't know, but is that not happening with you?
Oh, that's what I
because
referred to.
that was all in here when I sat down. Oh, you were unable to meet.
Yeah,
Okay.
my dog passed away, so I didn't show up that day.
Sorry to hear that.
2 hours before I had to put my dog down.
Okay.
So that was all. So I'd missed it, but normally we do get together. And again, that's why I'm kicking this out. Again, maybe we'll cover it later on in this agenda, but the next one is just because I am going to approve the consent agenda. I just want to bring those things up. So go on with the motions. Sorry for the delay.
Arnolly Burton,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Christina Gorbat,
Yes.
Mark Denkler,
Yes.
Vera Woodson.
Yes.
Moving on to the regular agenda, old business. Laura, you want to
We got to
present?
approve the regular
Oh,
agenda.
No, we did. We approved the
Oh, I thought we
regular
just did
agenda.
the consent.
agenda approvals.
We've changed up the agenda a little
regular,
bit.
got it,
Sorry.
okay. Sorry, wrong line.
Yeah, we're trying to match our agendas with the City Commission and CRA agendas, so you'll see a little bit of a different flow for the agenda. So just trying to keep them consistent.
I appreciate that. I think that's good level to keep it at here.
Good.
So,
So,
back to Laura.
old business. We've got, first item on the agenda is decorative lighting proposal, and I have just a little visual for you all to see. So in your packet, I provided you with the overview of the proposal, some history. As you know, the Downtown Development Authority is responsible for the decorative lighting throughout downtown from 95 all the way to A1A and in the Pineapple Grove district, both banners and lighting. So decorative lighting piece, actually in 2016 we upgraded the lighting on West Atlantic Avenue from the was lighting around the oak trees, which they were smaller than the ones east of Swinton. So we made some adjustments to go to the street poles, which provided more lighting along Atlantic Avenue and along Fifth Avenue. And we did that and have continued to upgrade those lights and manage that process. If you want to go to the second slide. So for this proposal, what we'd like to do, this is Fifth Avenue, and we proposed earlier this year our hope was to do cafe lighting like we have in Pineapple Grove across the street, which when you do that, and really the goal for this street, both on the south side and the north side, this is the historic main street of West Atlantic Avenue in the Set District. And it has been an initiative with the DDA and the CRA and the city to really help drive more traffic there, more economic investment. And what we find with cities and around our district is when you add amenities like lighting or banners and create an ambiance there, it does help with that impact. Since the cafe lighting is not able to be done there just because of the street poles that are different than in Second Avenue, the cafe lighting doesn't attach to that. So our recommendation is to add new lighting.
Sorry, I apologize. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
That's okay. So our recommendation is to add new lighting, rope lighting around the street poles. And this is the pure white. It's 36 poles, both on the south side and then also on the north side. South side, it's 1 block, and the north side, it's 2 blocks. And then in addition to, you see in this picture, you can see the coconut trees that align the street on both sides, both south and north. And there are 32 coconut trees, which include, there's 4 in the intersection, which part of this would be to enhance that intersection and do, like, because it is in the center of the district, and it is a very strong focal point there. So do the coconut trees in the intersections, both in 4 corners there, and then align the street with the coconut trees as well. So this would add really a brighter impact to that community for both visitors as well as residents and patrons to this community, and really say, okay, look, it gives it definitely much more personality, as well as really enhance that area for the community. So as you see here, it will be an investment of the lighting, and then again, we do have a management team that manages this lighting and make sure that, you know, all the lights are working, that their plugs are working, because they do get tampered with occasionally, but it is part of our process, and these are generally 3 years lifespan. So with that, if you want to go to the next one, it shows the map of both of the entire north side and south side. South side has a little less street poles as well as the coconut, so it is a little bit different in that area just based on some of the way the streetscape is. But we will make sure that everything is intact and bright. So with that, I'll just give back to the board if any questions.
Yeah, is that management cost like proportionate to what we're paying in Pineapple Grove? That seems steep, no?
Yeah.
Oh, it's less.
Well, there's more in Pineapple Grove, but 18,000 a year seems.
It's not a year. No, this is a one-time cost.
Oh, it said annually.
It said annually.
Oh, the 18,000 is that's for the entire district. So it's
Okay,
covers to the 5,000. It's at 18,000, but it's for the entire downtown.
Okay.
That's a management for the entire downtown, not just this
Is
district.
that our internal team that we do it, or is that a
That's
third party?
Brandano. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, I
So
feel better
it-
with it knowing that it's all downtown and not just 18,000.
No,
It's
sorry.
Like, that's half,
Yeah.
that's half the cost of the lights
They got
every
the new
year.
ones,
You know, they pay
No,
for the lights
Apologize.
over.
Yeah, no.
We could just
Sorry
buy new
about
ones
that.
the next year. We can.
I just wanted to
Year
throw
and a
that
half.
in there. But so the management piece is, it's an annual that it is for, but they do banners and lighting.
Yeah, and that's for the entire city,
Yeah, the entire
for our
city.
DDA
Correct.
district.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I did share this with our, some of our partners in the set, and got some feedback. So I do think there's, I think this will be a great addition. The lighting itself, when we put the new lighting in, originally we had positive feedback from that as well. Our next thought and recommendation would be to bring you a proposal for Libby Plaza, because Libby Plaza is on the corner of 5th, and it does need some attention.
Yeah.
As we've talked in the past.
When you do that, we'll talk offline, but I'd like to hook you up with the adjacent property owner who bought
Beautiful.
the little barbecue spot, because I know they're interested in making some improvements to the area too, and maybe they can sponsor something or get some, private money behind the public stuff and make
Great.
sure we're doing what they want to see happen, so we can
Yeah.
figure that area out in the future.
Awesome. Great. Any questions, concerns? Motion?
Motion to approve the proposal for the Northwest Southwest 5th Avenue lighting.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Mark Denkler,
Yes.
Christina Garbalt,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
Yes.
Thank you.
My favorite, the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget amendment presentation by our esteemed treasurer, Mr. Dankler,
Okay, thank you.
and Laura.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
I gave it to both you guys,
Okay. Yeah, no, I was out of town last week, but I got this yesterday, spent a few hours looking over it. Everything you need to see is in 6B, which is all the changes to all of our budget. This is something that government entities have to do. I think the city does it every quarter. We do it halfway to 3/4 of the year, something that we do every year. So when we get better numbers, because I guess since we are a government entity, we have to do this. As you said, okay, we're at 94%. Well, that means we need to add. So Laura's 6B letter tells you everything. I don't really think I need to go into it unless you have a specific question for this.
Where are you at? What page is this?
6B.
It's
This was the letter you have in your packet.
Or it was, if you
It's-
this meeting early, you might have received it.
It was,
It's
it
in
was
the
in,
packet.
it was in the
It's in your
packet.
packet.
Oh, no, I got this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Does that
Okay.
work?
Yeah, it's in here, I guess.
I have an extra if you want.
Yeah. And I'm happy to walk through that letter if you'd like to. We can go through it.
Well, I
if you'd
think,
like.
I mean, it's all there. I think if we, yeah, it's all laid out exactly why. I mean, there's no reason for me to go, office supplies reduced 3,000 due to change it. I mean, I'm just reiterating everything there. I just said, to me, they all seemed reasonable. As your treasurer, I've looked at it, and think it's responsible. We're not putting ourselves in a precarious situation with everything. We do have some reserves, so, on both entities, on monies that we haven't used, so, I'm all in favor, but if you need more, information on it, please ask us.
And just one thing as relates to the Old School Square, we did carry over and from last year, so to actually allocate those funds was at this point, this is where we did that. So once our audit is finalized and we go through that process, which was just finalized, you just approved that in March. So as we do that now, it's the point of just, allocating
That's that 230
those funds.
grand or so that we'll then be able
Correct.
to dedicate, because I see we're moving like 100,000 from security
Yep.
to, programming.
Exactly.
And then instead of that, we'll end up putting 100,000 back into security from the 235 and keep it. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to formally make a motion to approve so we can then have the discussion. Does anyone-
Second.
Now we can discuss.
Roll call?
Well, if you
Oh,
want to
a discussion?
discuss.
If you want any
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, again, I'll go through it and, again, just show off some questions next month, but it's fine. I'm not caught up right now, so I apologize.
And we can set up, why don't we just set up time? And I'd love to set up time with you and just sit down and go
Yeah,
through it on
that's
detail.
fine.
That way you can bring those questions back if you
Exactly,
don't
yeah,
get those
that's fine.
answers, okay? Or just discussion. Because I think it's important. I mean, we're going into our budget workshop too. So really to have that really hearty discussion around this and how you want to, this is your first year with us. So if there's things that we need to now shift and change, this is the time to do that as we go into next year's planning, right?
Yeah, I'd say like the biggest thing, and I know we've brought it up before, is just understanding the true cost of our different events that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the way we look at it's based on the audits and everything else, but I know that we have a breakdown. You've been working on it. I haven't seen it necessarily, but like, hey, to throw an event, this is what it is.
Right.
In different events, like whether it's the El Camino Cinco de Mayo thing where they're giving us a fee, but we're still having expenses, whether it's a concert, whether it's the Beatles on the beach. I just kind of want to understand the full picture, But we'll get into that. It's fine.
Okay.
That's really the biggest thing that I just need to understand a little better.
Okay.
I think if I have a question.
Sure.
The Old School Square, again, this is super, everything says it right here, but none of that, the reducing, obviously, the projections of what events cost and everything is affecting placemaking or economic vitality. None of that. It's separate.
It's completely separate.
Yeah.
Yep. Anything else?
Any other?
Yes, ma'am.
About the event that was canceled.
Yes, the Dirty Dancing event?
Yes. What is our status there?
So we're waiting. They haven't set their tour date. So our status is they have a deposit that we'll put forward towards a new date, a new event. So we did have expenses incurred with that.
Will that be 2024, or are they looking towards 2025? Only because I'd like for it to be in the same fiscal year if we could, but I don't know what their.
It won't. It'll probably
won't
be
be.
in 2024, but it will probably will not be in the same fiscal year. So we would have to allocate towards.
Yeah,
next
I
year.
know, but that's
Right.
I was hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Do we want any other discussion, or should we do a roll call? Please. Because we had a motion and a second.
Right, we do. Yeah.
Aaron Halliburton,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Christina Garbach,
Yes.
Mark Denkler,
Yes.
Vera Woodson.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
You want me to just take it over?
Yeah.
All right. So this got pushed back for obvious reasons, and now I think it's time to bring it back up and kind of discuss the best way to go forward. In the packet, we have, I think, the last 5 years or 5 or 6 years or so of the previous reports, and I thought we'd just kind of open it back up to discussion on how to proceed on this. You know, however you guys want to handle this, and it's time to bring it back up, I feel like.
Yeah, sure.
So.
I appreciate whoever provided the annual accounting from previous boards and their performance review ratings. You can see that there's some consistencies across the boards going all the way back to 2016 until we get to this board that we have. The only area that I would like for us to possibly have a conversation about is area number 5, which is the key performance indicator number 5 for advocacy and as the liaison. And I think we all have an idea of what we want the director's role to be in advocating and speaking on the behalf of the board and the constituents in this city. But I would like to make that clear from all of us so that going forward there's no misunderstanding about what your role is in terms of working with the city to accomplish the goals. So from my perspective, because I gave you a 4, and in there I detailed very, I thought succinctly about how I want us to lead the conversations and not be the person who's taking the information in terms of what we're doing for the merchants and the residents of the downtown area. And I think that's what is the one reason why I took a point off, is because I felt like we were the secondary voice. We should be the ones that are leading the charge, especially because the money is coming from those folks. And I know the city, of course, they want to lead the charge in all aspects, and we can't get a lot of things done without them. But I just want us to be the ones that bring things to their attention in an effort to be in the forefront of the discussion. So that's, I guess, where I look at that in being you being the forceful voice for us.
Thank you.
Can I comment on
Yes.
that? Since I did give you a 5 on that.
Yes.
I was the highest grade, but I think actually if you look at advocacy and liaison, I know I was in a meeting with Laura and she gets a phone call, oh my gosh, there's a pothole in the middle of the street. Laura and I walk over, she's calling the city director, cop pulls up, pulled over, and is taken care of. I know I do it because I know what's that? A sinkhole. Yes, a sinkhole. But when I was a merchant, you always could call Laura to get things done. And so I think she's the liaison there. And then I think 2 meetings ago, we had all the people, as our first meeting here, we had 20 people get up and say how she was an advocate, but it was really because she was an advocate for them. So I think that's the reason why I ranked it so high, because she is doing that. And I think this board's new, and so they don't realize as many things. But yeah, many times, oh, this needs fixing, so they call Laura. Because if you remember 2 years ago on the board, people were complaining, oh, people don't know what we need to do. We need to get the word out. And that seems, I think the restaurants and the merchants, maybe not the residents, because it's hard to do stuff for residents, but they call as well. As she's going, yes. So I do think they call us almost before they call the city. Because it's easier to call one person than it is go, which department is it? And as Brian keeps on trying to point out, just get your phone out, take a picture, and within 48 hours, Jeff's going to have that taken care of or let you know where it is. So,
I think, and I agree with you, I saw that firsthand, but I think one of my areas of concern was West Atlantic in terms of Libby being kept upgraded. I stepped in before I was a board member to work with the city to get those things taken care of. The Northwest 5th Avenue, over a year ago, I was pounding, where are the lights, we need to do the lights. And yes, it is a process to get those lights up there. There's also been areas that I just think that we should be leading on, ensuring that, the pavers are okay on West Atlantic. We did the trash receptacles. I walked with Laura and picked up trash when we were, and she picked up trash as well, when we walked that area. But it was me pushing for boots on the ground from the city to have those actions taken care of. She had mentioned early on that she wanted a sign up at Libby so that there would be a calendar so that the people on the West would know where and when events were taking place. That has been almost a 1.5-year process to get this sign up. And I don't know whose area it is, but we, as the DDA, need to be following up and making sure that these things are, that people are being held accountable to their promises and to those things that we are advocating for. So I guess, when I used to come down here in the summer before I became a true resident, I was just an investor. I would come down here and think to myself, why is there such a disparity in the equity of the investment on West Atlantic versus what's happening on the East? The buildings were just going up, the shops were there, but there was no money being poured in. And I bought back in 2005, and so I had annually coming down here, holidays, summers, and spending time. And then I get down here and I'm like, let's do this. I work with the city, we get it done. So that's why I am saying we need to be at the forefront, pushing forward to get a lot of these things taken care of. And it should be, I talked to you on this day, I'm following up next Thursday, I'm following up the next Thursday, I'm following up, and getting these things taken care of more in a expeditious manner. I think that's where my concern is. And again, I didn't give the lowest score, but I did indeed take a point down because I want us to be the ones who are at the forefront of those discussions, because we should have had a plan for West Atlantic back in 2005. We should have had a plan for West Atlantic before I arrived, because that to me is still considered the downtown. So if we see all of the businesses, and one of the things that, Rick is no longer with us, but he was trying to be an advocate in the rearview mirror of what was already being done. But he did definitely bring up West Atlantic often enough to where you felt his passion for making sure that that was also taken care of. So I think that's what it is we know that the people go to East Atlantic, but we got to make sure that the people are also having a reason to come to West Atlantic. Working with the business owners. I mean, there's businesses that have gone out of business. Now we have a smoke shop. There's 2 now on the West Atlantic side. As a African American, I am totally appalled that we have 2 smoke shops in a predominantly African American neighborhood. I think we have a lot more to offer in terms of small businesses, and I think we need to do a better job also of recruiting some businesses to come into that West Atlantic area that support the needs of the people who reside in that area. Mm-hmm. That's why I gave
There's
the 4.
4 on Atlantic Avenue now.
Yes. Yeah.
That's something that they come to us, like how, again, people get approval for the colors of the building. They don't. They can just, it's
No,
the
it's
landlord.
by right.
That's it. Yes.
No, but to that point, there are things in the shopability study that we did and procured. We did put that together and has some language in there that would be around uses, and it does need to be brought back up.
Yeah.
We do have one that just opened up, to your point, a beer and vape shop on Atlantic Avenue. It was a gallery, and it's now a beer and vape shop. So, and to the point of the public comment, uses and turnover, and those are significant things that are strong recommendations can be strong recommendations from our organization. So bringing that to the city and helping frame out what that would look like. We were very involved in the tattoo parlor initiative when that came forward. So being part of that, we are part of that process, but there isn't a checks and balances there. We've been working very closely with the 401 and 301 property owners there in that building, as they've been receiving some uses that have come through with questions and have been reaching out directly to me and our team to make sure that the uses, how we can help with that process. One wasn't a favorable use, so we worked with them to help guide that process. And then we had one that was going into the Amazon hub that had some concerns or had questions because they were getting different answers from the city. So we helped navigate that process. So we're there. It's happened. It's that being the recruitment part of it could be better. It's really just working really directly with those individual property owners.
I think we need to be intentional. And again, I've said this before. I grew up in a metropolitan big city, Long Beach, California. And then I moved to the DC area, another large metropolitan area. And when you don't plan for and create an environment where businesses that you want to be there will look at it and say, I can come in there, then this is what happens. Right. Because the landlords get desperate, they need the rents, and so they will put in whoever can pay the rent. And then what you get is a hood mentality, which I don't think that anyone wants that for our entryway, where it's smoke shops and all of the sins of society lined up. And I understand marijuana is a thing that everyone now believes is a safe, medicinal use, but do we need two within a walking distance of each other?
So I mean, it's a retail store, so we have uses of that. So actually focusing on the actual use of or the business itself is different. So focusing on a use is really where we are. I do think we can bring something back in the future with you to the board, put on a future agenda. We do have our town hall on Wednesday next week, which is a very big discussion that could be happening at that time too. So.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt again, but this is supposed to be about the evaluation.
Yeah, that's fine. I was going to bring it back, but I didn't know if this was, that's fine.
She had a good point, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I wanted to just rein it back into the evaluation.
So on the evaluation, just on that subject, because I know that I gave a score of a 2, and I gave some of my feedback on this overall evaluation, and I think we could put together a better evaluation because I felt like these questions were a lot of things in one thing. So yeah, many things are great, but other things are not great. So again, this was like the question was serving as a liaison between the downtown Delray Beach stakeholders, leadership, the mayor, commissioners, city staff, the Chamber of Commerce, Merchants Association, CRA, IDA, and other public and private non-for-profit groups as it relates to the best interest of the downtown district. I think maybe we can break that up into separate ones so you can grade kind of the separate things and then put them together for like an average. In the future, it's just, I had trouble because it was just like one score on a lot of different things. And I found that for a lot of this. So if we're talking about the valuation and in the future, I'd like to break it up a little bit more just so we get a little more granularity on the questions so we can understand what are we seeing that she's doing so great and what are the things we want to see the improvement, because again, these scores don't really illustrate that in my opinion. But that's just the overall.
Yep. So
my opinion.
I'm obviously pretty new to this, so I guess going forward,
we can change it up.
Change it.
Yeah, I would just recommend this needs to be done again in September. So you and you can't get with the secretary because we can't talk outside of here. But yeah, you guys come with Laura. This is what the prior board came up with, and we had no problems
and I'm okay
with it. So
even moving forward, I'm not saying I want to slow this process down at all. I'm just saying for the future. That's what I'm talking about now.
Well, I think we can pull from our other partner agencies their evaluation process and bring it back. It's very different. So again, this was something that was put in place by prior board. So for current year, we can create something, and I'll work with Quentin as well.
That'd be great.
And come up with something.
That's just my feedback.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So is this like a motion item?
Yes.
Yeah, it just needs a motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's where we would be motioning to approve the raise. That is.
Yeah. What was the final?
It's right. It's right underneath that.
Well, it's right. Yeah, you
right
have
underneath, right here.
With the cost of living adjustment plus her percentage, it'd come to. I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion for Laura to receive a 7.37% raise.
I'd like to second, but are we including that it's retroactive?
Oh,
because there's been a delay.
As that would be, it's supposed to be retroactive
Thank
as
you.
to 10/1,
Yes.
not 23.
Thank you. Second.
Any more discussion? No?
No.
Can I get a roll call?
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Mark Denkler,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
No, and I told you why. Because I don't think we should have been doing this evaluation. I think it should have been done by the prior board. And with what she said, I've addressed more than enough times that I think our focus is going to get a lot better now, but it hasn't been where it's supposed to be. So that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I continue on this topic, sir? Mr. Chairman? Yes. One of the things, and I know Vera brought it up last year, and when I was going over our meeting minutes, I saw that Laura worked 60% for the DDA this current year and then 40% last year. We're not recommending a bonus, but Old School Square is not paid a portion of her salary.
60% Old School Square.
Yeah,
you said
40,
last year.
Oh, okay, yeah, but
No, I didn't work
I
40%
know
last
she
year.
did that last year, but I would recommend that we bonus her $20,000 from Old School Square. It would reduce our profit from 67 down to 47, but if somebody wants to make a motion, or that's what I'm just recommending, we can have discussion or make the motion and then go forward.
Outline what your interest in the 20,000, where the number came from, if you
I'm
can
just
explain.
throwing that out. We in the past have given her a bonus of up to $10,000 for DDA work. So I'm just saying, with all the work, she didn't just, if that's 60-40, that was additional hours. That wasn't just going, okay, my 50-hour week of DDA now is 70 hours for everything. So I just think that she should be rewarded from Old School Square's budget.
Does anyone want to make a motion on that?
Oh, I'll make a motion to grant her $20,000 from Old School Square budget.
And do we have a second on that motion?
Do you know what the budget is?
Yeah, it's right in front of you. Or we just went over it.
Okay, for Old School.
That's what I said. It would reduce the profit of Old School Square of our amended budget we just did.
We have to have a second to have a
Yeah.
discussion,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So do we have a second?
I'll second to discuss.
Okay.
Did you get a bonus from the DDA as well, or no? I mean, like, over the last year?
No.
No, we're the ones that would decide that, and we didn't have that.
Yeah,
in
but
our
I didn't know if it
raise.
happened like a month before I came on the board
No,
or something like that.
no.
Okay.
But you have received them in the past, a bonus.
During evaluation time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
usually, that was,
When was do you know offhand, or?
that would have been 21, 22.
Yeah, and you were making that motion or wanting
This
to
is
get to
22,
that last year,
23,
if I
what we
remember
just
right.
discussed right
Yeah.
now, so.
Yeah.
I was, back then, I believe I was only speaking of a raise because I was unaware that there was a bonus that was to be given. But I did remember the discussion regarding, I'm sorry.
I did remember the discussion regarding her taking on extra work as well as the staff without any indication of how they were going to be paid, because they started working on it before there was even any outline of the income that they were going to, increase. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Why wouldn't we give it to the whole DDA staff? Why would we just give it to one?
There's already a component in there that was paid.
Don't know that. I didn't know that.
Oh, it's a line item in your budget.
Yeah.
And it was 20,000 last year, and Laura's not paid any of that. Staff was the people that did that, and this year it went down from 20 to 10. I'm just saying, if this was done, I would make it from 10 to 20 to 30, or 10 to 30,000 from the amended budget.
Wait, so there's a line item of 10 every year, and then you're adding.
There's a line item of
by 20.
20, yes. In the where is it?
Is this in the Old School Square budget? Or
Old School Square budget, yes.
And that was intended to, before we hired staff, and then for staff such as marketing.
Line item 11, DDA team
Cheers.
management.
Yeah.
I'm open to discuss this. I would just like to maybe table it to where we have time to review it ahead of time, maybe, because the bonus surprised me. But I'm on board for the raise 100%. This team and Laura work so hard, but I'm not comfortable with the bonus yet, and I still kind of got to dig into some of the budget stuff. That's just myself.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor, so we need to take the roll.
Take a roll call unless there's any more discussion.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm definitely open to it. I just want to maybe figure it out a bit more, dive into it a little bit more.
The motion was to approve, correct?
Yeah. So can we get a roll call? 1 second.
If the decision or the consensus may be to table the item, you don't want a no vote on this on the record. So you may amend the motion to.
Can I withdraw my
Reflect.
second?
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay.
But I'd like it put on for next meeting's agenda.
So then so that's a new motion to have this put onto next meeting's agenda? Is this a revised motion?
There's no I withdraw the motion. So
Okay,
I'm just
that's a
look at it next
suggestion.
meeting.
Okay.
Look at it next meeting.
You don't need a motion for that, but you do need to. The motion's withdrawn, so the motion's off the table. So you don't really have to have any action at this point.
Okay. Did we have action on the actual?
We did already.
Yeah, that was
yeah. Just trying to take it back. I thought, okay.
Yeah,
Very
this was
good.
a separate motion.
All right, very good, very good. Moving on to new business. Quentin, public records policy.
Yes. So.
Yeah, it's minimal. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So the DDA has received over the last 30 days exorbitant amount of public records requests. So one of the questions I asked was, do we have a policy? And the answer was, we didn't really need a policy before because we got maybe one every couple months. So it was an ad hoc feature, but now it's become at least twice, two a week, if not more, in the last several weeks. So I've created, and you should all have a copy of the policy in your backup information, a policy that provides the staff and you all understanding of how these requests will be processed, reviewed, and disseminated once they come in. The policy is based on Florida law, Chapter 119, which is the state's Public Records Act, and it goes through the scope of that act and provides our records custodian the opportunity to follow a procedure that is clear and unambiguous, so that if there's questions about what's happening, she can refer to the policy, and you all can refer to the policy as to who's doing what and how that's being done. There may be a point in time where there's certain information requested that is not eligible for dissemination for the public view, and there's a process for redacting that information or denying that information. And when you deny a public records request for the reason of a exemption, you have to be specific as to the exemption being requested or being invoked. So that gives the staff the opportunity to engage with me on those types of items, so it's clear as to how that is demarcated in the response. Let's see what else that I can go over. Sure, go ahead.
The policy that is written in this document 7A, this is what you've provided us that should align with the state statute?
Yes.
Correct. So what we should be doing is reviewing and then voting to approve that this is added so that we can then have a procedure to follow when these requests come in.
Yes, I'm asking for a motion to approve the policy with the caveat that we continually that you allow the staff and myself to evolve the policy with your ratification upon that evolution, so that we can make sure that we stay in tune with the times, because the laws change, on an annual basis, and the process may not work, and we'll want to change it to make it work better for the staff.
So should we be making a motion to approve the opportunity for you and the staff to work on this, to approve this document as is? Which direction do you foresee us taking here?
I want to approve it as is,
okay,
and we will revise it as needed and bring it back for your ratification when that happens.
Thank you.
So this is pretty standard then, if it's based off statute. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Looks pretty straightforward. So then, may I get a motion?
Motion to approve the policy
With
outline.
Do you want to say with the ability to?
With the ability to ratify as needed, yes.
Okay.
And I'd continue the second.
All right. May I get a roll call, please?
Arnelli Burton,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Mark Denkler,
Yes.
Bureau Woodson.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Alrighty. It's very quiet.
Moving on to the Delray Mural Fest in Old School Square, DDA team. You know I love my murals.
Yes.
What's going on? I know it's coming up. Summer's here.
All right, so I provided you all with an overview of this per actually request of Ryan. He wanted to go over this. This started last year as an idea that the team came up with to add to our summer plan for Old School Square as part of once an event that we would facilitate and activate. And it was a big success. Our downtown is definitely, our city is an art and cultural hub, and this was a way for us to showcase the talents that we have here and in the community and in the area for live art, and incorporate it with a concert and our summer activities for families and visitors and residents. This we are doing at the same time. It's on the 26th, 27th, and 28th. We have already set a Friday. We're doing the Sunset Concert Series, so the 26th is already set as a Sunset Concert, and we are tacking on Mural Fest as part of that too. So for those that didn't attend last year's, we take the entire campus. We erect and partner with Galera Collective, and Maruska is here as part of the leadership on this event as well, to create walls that will be painted during this event. And we did a Delray Beach theme last year, probably follow similar theme there as well, but give the artists the opportunity to create something inspiring for all and for public to come out and watch. We adjusted the hours this year. Last year we had the concert, we kicked it off with a concert on a Friday night and then a whole day Saturday and into the evening, Saturday evening, and then Sunday was really just for public to walk around. However, we had another event on that Sunday as well. This year, this is just this event, and we've adjusted the hours to start both days, Friday and Saturday, 4 to 10. That way, it's still going to be warm, but we won't be in the heat of the day. And the majority, and this way we can have it more succinct at that timing. That time, a lot of the artists will probably still paint during the day, and people can come out. The green market will be taking place. It'll still be happening, but it won't be a set event. This is also, it's a fenced in. We will include vendors, more art vendors. Our hope is to get more artisans to come out as well, to make it enhance the activation. And then the evening event's kind of a reggae theme. So we have artists on here that we're kicking off on Friday with Bad Apples Brass. We'll have a headliner of Spread the Dub. So that will be on our free concert night. And Saturday we are going to ticket a $10 ticket for Saturday's event, and we have Johnny Dread. Johnny Dread.
And is the Friday ticketed?
No,
as well?
it's free.
Friday's free, Saturday's ticketed, Sunday's free.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Correct.
Cool.
So,
and then, if we wanted to try to tie in some murals on some other buildings, you know, and I know Jeff's in the back there, but I'm not sure when the meeting timings are, but I'd maybe like to work either some buildings I own or some other buildings to try to get murals up on them so that it's all happening at the same time to kind of expand it beyond the campus into the city as well.
So,
which I know they're doing Old School Square.
So on the back of or on the second page, the Arts Garage stairwell project. So the Arts Garage has been working for the past couple of years to take those stairwells in the Old School Square garage and do murals in there. Our hope was to have either kicked off or have something happening in the stairwells. I'm not just certain if it's based on timing, if it's going to actually work out. But that is one of those, and our idea was to be able to either start murals and walls or have them begin during around this time.
Cool. Yeah, very good. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for the update. And again, I know it's coming up.
Can I talk about a couple things that were brought up during that discussion?
Sure.
Old School Square. The other day I attended the disparity study that was hosted by the city of Delray Beach regarding the disparity of businesses that are for minorities and women. And after that meeting, I thought I had another meeting. It was scheduled from that meeting, and the meeting was canceled, and I was not notified. So I had the time to walk around the city, and I know I've been told that people don't like when Vera walks around the city, but that's what I do. And so there were a few things with Old School Square that I think if we're going to continue to have the success that we have, I think we also need to invest to have it look as best that it can. I took a lot of pictures.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about this now, or do you want to put it on in your board
Well,
comments?
it's going to roll in
Okay.
to this because there's a lot of wires and outlets that have big plugs, and the awnings that are facing 2nd Street are completely blown out, like the fabric is ripped, there's holes. Old School Square, the lettering that's above the stage is peeling off, and there's just some things that I think we need to invest in. And I'm glad that you also, Brian, brought up your properties getting murals, because one of the properties that I passed by is in bad condition. I don't know that you still own that building. Your name is on it, but I don't know if you still own it. The one that's right next to the railroad track, where the bar was. Yeah, someone has pulled down one of those plaques that was up on the pole, and so there's just cement that's there, and then the windows haven't been cleaned, and so as I'm walking, I'm thinking to myself, we have all these people that are coming to visit our city for these events, and for the summer I think we just need to make sure that we're walking and doing a refresh of Old School Square as well as the property surrounding that area, so that when they do come to visit us, we look the best we can.
Yeah, I'm actually that specific. The Buddha Sky Bar, good news, is under contract, so we'll see what's going in there. But we have really cleaned up that whole back area. I've worked with the police. I've worked with the current property owner. I've worked with the parking management company, so they've tightened that up a lot. The building, it's in ugly shape. I'm not sure if the seller under contract is going to be spending a lot of money to clean it up. Obviously, anything has to be to code, So, our code enforcement can lean on them on that. But, hopefully, as it trades and the new money comes in, they're going to make that look a lot better. So, but I think we've cleaned that area up a ton. Back behind there compared
just
to what
the facing part to to East Atlantic just doesn't look appealing. So whoever the new owner is, if we can get them on board as soon as possible when they take ownership, to at least clean up the facade in the front, so that the folks that are walking by on the street, even though it's not occupied, feel like it's a friendly environment. Thank you.
Yep, Vera, I agree with you. I mean, Old School Square needs some work done
Yes,
to it, and
it
that's
does.
something that we'll bring up at the workshop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Can I get anything else on Mural Fest from anyone else? Anyone's excited? Murals? Okay.
I am, because the event that I host, Flea Mingle, is during that time on the ticketed day. But I'd like to talk to you about how we can incorporate some of that into the same event.
No problem.
The last thing, because we're talking about events at Old School Square, I attended the Cinco de Mayo. I don't know if all of you did. I attended Cinco de Mayo downtown. It was beautiful. I felt like I was back home in Long Beach, California with all the Mexican music, and I was just excited and in my element, and Mark was like, what is going on with my wife? But one of the things that I was a little bent about, I'm not going to say broken, is that it was touted as a family-friendly event. With that much tequila flowing through an event, as a former teacher, I feel a little bit like that was oversold. It said games and everything for children. So all I'm asking is, if we are going to partner with someone and they are going to advertise it, that we actually can stand behind that on the face of it, because it was not truly family friendly. And it probably should have started a little later in the evening, because all they had was cornhole. Really, it wasn't like a whole bunch of games and a bounce house for the kids. It was sold as a family-friendly event, but I don't know that it was what I would deem a family-friendly event. So I think we need to make sure that that is something that we look at when we are partnering with people, that we use the proper terminology for the events.
I'll pass that along.
Thank you.
Cool. Let's see what
happy
we
parents.
are moving on the agenda to the non-agenda items.
No,
Actually,
there's
we got one
7C.
more. The scope
Yeah?
of services for strategic planner
Yes.
for discussion and
All right.
recommendations.
So at our April meeting, we discussed strategic planning for the DDA, updating our strategic plan. So in your packet, I provide you an overview of what this would be as an update to our strategic plan. Going through the process, really, it's been a long time, and we are in a new time. So I do believe that there will be a stronger process. But this would be for us to send out for proposals from strategic planning firms. The city did hold their goal setting session on May 3rd, which I attended, And the facilitator for that event or that meeting would be someone I would want to get a proposal from, because they have the experience with the city and going through that process for 2 times. So I would send that to that firm, as well as others within the area that we would want to hear from as well. So, and this is line itemed in a separate. It's not it doesn't fall in office administration. It does fall under our economic development section.
Can I ask if this is possible to preserve the reserve? Since they're already going through it with the city, can't we have a stronger partnership and be at the table of the information that's already being given and utilize those resources and funds in a way that is more of an investment? Maybe take that money that wasn't allocated for Old School Square, to take that consulting money and to invest in the actual benefit of, the location where we hold the major events. I just, consultant is a trigger word for me, and everyone I think knows that, because we pay people a lot of money who come in, and I don't know if you guys ever remember the book from Dr. Seuss about the Starbelly Sneetches, and Mr. McBean would come in and take all the money and roll off, and everybody would be sitting there in disarray after it was over, trying to figure out whose job it is, or what, should we have stars upon thars or not. But I think that we need to look at what's already being done, because we have a county that invests in consultants, we have a city that invests in consultants, we have tertiary cities that invest in consultants at locales, and I just feel like we're overpaying consultants to tell us that the beach is pretty. That's what I feel.
This is to create a plan for the DDA. So this is something that it's a strategic planner to create and do facilitated discussions. It would be a 6-month process, holding stakeholder meetings, one-on-one meetings with each of you. I mean, it's an investment in time to put a plan together for our downtown.
But we did this less than 3 years ago.
It was 2016 when we did the last strategic plan.
What was the thing that I sat through with the gentleman who came in?
That was a shopability study.
Yes.
That's
Gibbs. Yes. Thank you.
That's shopability, not strategic.
Right, but I mean, we're talking about the downtown and the major artery.
It's actually for our Downtown Development Authority organization. What are our plans going forward? So not plans, but it really outlines updating the strategic plan that we have. So it'd be an update to that. We can go off we don't have, I mean, it's recommended to have a roadmap for our organization. So
I thought we built that though in our own goal setting, I guess is my.
Those are our top those are priorities off of the last year. So those are priorities to focus on this current year based on where we are in our planning process.
You know, I'm going to say no though, right? You know, I'm going to say no though, right? I'm going to say no. I know everybody has to give their input, but I wanted to.
But it came from our
you know.
conversation last month, so now I'm just bring a scope of services together. But it's fine.
And I brought up the consulting thing last meeting too. I agree, and I understand. Sure. I got it, but I just the money that we spend on consultants, I just can't. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead,
Aaron. I don't know what we don't already know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the weather's good, people come out. When the season's good, there's no rain, people come out. This season was bad, for us because the weather sucked the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was cold, it was windy and rainy, so the numbers went down. If the weather's good, people come out. If the streets are clean, people come out. If the homeless are not being seen, people come out. If code's doing their job, people come out. They keep us busy on making sure that we do our job when they do their job. I don't understand what we need to spend more money on. I'd rather give that back to you as opposed to pay some person to do a survey for something we already know. We already know these results. There's not much more you can squeeze out of the Atlantic Avenue. That we got to worry about why the businesses are closing now. Is he going to give us a plan for that?
Possibly.
Who cares?
Yeah,
we know what we got to do.
Okay.
We're just not doing it.
Well, I disagree with it. We're not doing that. I think that there are some things that I think that strategic planning is a best practice.
We've got areas of improvement. We all acknowledge that.
Okay.
And if we have to hire somebody to come and tell us what we're missing, then we have a bigger issue than this consultant. I think. Okay. I think we have the tools already.
Right. Again,
go ahead. It's yours.
Yeah, in general, I'm in favor of this. I think it's about organizing all of us and our thoughts and understanding the roadmap to move forward. I think we do need to have a 5-year plan. We had a discussion on Old School Square where I think a lot came to light when we talked about what are we looking at the next 3 to 5 years, because we just executed a 5-year renewal. So it's 5 or 3-year renewal, whatever it was. 5. So again, I think this is good. I looked at the cost. This consultant was a couple grand. It was not a $20,000, $30,000 consultant. It was like an $8,000 or $5,000 consultant. So again, I like this time that we have. I think it's important for us. That's just my opinion.
It's like a master plan for the DDA.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Chairman, if I may, it may be worthwhile to get proposals so you can see what the actual costs are. You don't have to go forward with it if you decide as a group that it's not worth the expenditure at that point in time. So I think the staff is...
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think he said.
Go ahead.
I think you should have all the tools already. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. I would want nobody to tell me that I'm not doing something wrong unless I was really doing something wrong. I know there's no way we missed it.
Well, I think it's looking at our entire downtown, and how we plan for the future, and how it will guide whether I'm here or not. Whoever sits in this seat will have that plan to move, and the tools and resources, and the city knows really from the stakeholders' perspective what the plan is going forward for. I mean, our stakeholders have changed. There's a lot has changed since we put this plan together in 16 or 17. So I think and it's also you all have changed. So
The people still come.
I want
to still full.
Just to your point that the tools are already there. That may be true, but it's a matter of how you fit those tools into a day, a week, a month, a year, 3 years, and 5 years versus just just having the tools and not using them in the appropriate way. So that's really kind of what you're looking to see that they're going to suggest for you. So it's the tools may be there, but how to fit those tools in, when to fit those tools in, how to use them appropriately at the appropriate time. So like you said, there's some issues. Everybody sees certain issues differently and the same. So it's just a matter of whether or not these consultants are able to provide you with a proposal that you think is going to be beneficial to your point. If you look at their proposal and you say, well, if they're going to tell us that the weather is good, people come, you don't really need that proposal at the end of the day. But if they're going to tell you something a little more deep than that you may like, oh, I would like to know that. That's kind of where you want to be with that.
Can I say something also? I sent a link to several of the staff at the Downtown Development Authority, and it was a link for an Instagram where a woman was teaching how to put in prompts into ChatGPT. So let's say we took the last study that was done and told ChatGPT through AI to develop a 5-year plan based on the information that we have right now. It would spit out, and it would be less than probably $100.
I actually know a downtown that did that.
Yes,
they did do that.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
That they used a consultant.
Yes. So I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. They're going to take what we're giving them and go to ChatGPT. I wish I was still. There's a part of me. I don't say this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. If I was still a teacher, I almost said I wish I was still. If I was still a teacher, I would tell my student, here's what your next project is, and I would give it to them and tell them here. We can go to FAU and find a student who would love to do that as an assignment. I'm sure. For little or nothing, probably a meal at Chipotle. But the last consultant that the city hired came to the DDA to get information, went to the county and got information, merged that information together and spit it back out to the city to tell them what we needed to do. I could have drove my car and done that. And I don't know how much we paid. But that's why I have a problem, is that we have access to information and they're using our information that we're giving them, and all they're doing is putting it back on a silver platter and then doing a whole bunch of PowerPoints. We don't need that. We don't need to pay $2,000. We don't need to pay $8,000. We just need a plan, and if ChatGPT can do it and we can find a student at FAU to do it, let's do it. That's where I am.
I think you've just hearing the discussion. No, but you're simplifying what it is. Strategic plans are necessary for organization. The organization I'm ahead of, we do it every 5 years. It's 5 years here. We're on a 7-year plan.
Schools do them every year. I was in corporate America. They do them every year.
Yeah, well, but but
they're in the drawer by the third month.
Okay. Can I speak now? Yes. Okay, thank you. But it is something, I hate, being in banking, I made 28-year loans. I'm like, how can I tell you what it's going to happen in 28 years? But we did it. But I think it is necessary. We can all look at the cost when it comes back. We did it in my organization. The last one we did was a failure, and we spent $30,000 on it. But other ones before have been fantastic. And when I've been chairman of different organizations, that strategic plan is the roadmap for the chairman to see what they need to do to make sure our meetings are following our mission and our strategic plan. They're going to interview stakeholders. They're going to interview landowner. I mean, a renter is different than a landowner who's different. I had many scrapes with that, and frankly, it's like, what are you doing for the residents? Well, we have no idea what we can do, but something like this will find that information when you send out. Yeah, they're going to send out to 800 residents, and we're going to get 80 back because it's always the 10%. But it gives us an idea based on our backgrounds that will better us. So I think we've set the parameters, and let's see where it goes.
Is that a motion I heard? Do I get a
Well, there's
second?
no she has.
I think there's a motion. Someone make a motion for her to move forward and continue.
I think we
to
should get
the quotes.
proposals, though.
Right,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what this is. It's
Right, so she's looking for a board recommendation. So.
Do you want a motion on this, or do you have direction?
Yes, please.
So I think I heard a motion to move forward through the process to see what the costs are and nail in the scope of work a little bit.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Wait, who made that? Is that motion from Mark?
That's for me, I guess.
Aaron Halliburton,
No.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Christina Godbout,
Yes.
Mark Dinkler,
Yes.
Vera Woodson.
No.
All right. Moving on to the non-agenda items, City Commission workshop May 14th at 5 p.m. Laura, you want to update us a little on that?
Sure. So we'll go into updates. On tomorrow evening, we have it's at 5 o'clock here in City Hall at this room. We're on the workshop agenda with the City Commission based on, again, last month's workshop that we had with you all to really discuss Old School Square, their vision as we move forward with the management of Old School Square. As part of that, we did prepare a small presentation to share with the commission, the new commission primarily, of similar to what we've done, and this will help a lot of you as well, just how we got to where we are today, and then how, what's the plan moving forward, and vision from the stakeholders themselves, the City Commission. As well at that meeting, since tomorrow's workshop is just workshop. There isn't a commission meeting following the workshop, so there's a little bit more time. I think Jeff's still here, but I do believe there's how much time do we actually have, Jeff? I don't know that. Do you know? Okay. But as part of this meeting, I do think it's important. You all have a lot of recommendations that you shared over the past, several months, especially as it relates to Old School Square campus, maintenance of downtown. I do think this would be an opportunity for us to share some of those recommendations. So I'm happy I have a list of those to bring up as well. So it would be good for conversation.
So Jeff Horace, Assistant City Manager. You are scheduled as the second item on the agenda. The first item is a Parks and Rec item. This is an individual workshop. It is not before a city commission meeting. So your time limit is kind of as long as you all want to talk, I guess.
This is the first one, right? So this is the first workshop.
Correct. This is the first time with this new commission that we're having a separately agended workshop. In the past, we've been sort of stymied by they started before a commission meeting, and the intent was to wrap up the workshop and then go into the commission meeting. At this point, this is, like I said, a standalone workshop. There is nothing following it. It does start at 5 o'clock. I was trying to remember if it was May or June. I'm getting lost. So it's up to you all and the commission how long this continues on.
Do we have that? I know we were working on the revised budget, looking forward to the next 5 years and the next year. Do we have that together to present yet, or is that
We
not?
didn't come with that. We have a top line that we put together based on where we are today, but,
But
we
we
did not
didn't-
come with it.
Okay,
This,
yeah.
this again.
Yeah. Just want to stay
From
in the loop
last
of that.
April, from our meeting, really last work at April's meeting was to, are we going forward? Now we are. So here it's the point of it's, let's hear from the commission. How are we doing?
Yeah.
What more can we be doing? What do you want to see from us? There's been discussion at their goal setting. They did discuss primarily Crest Theater at the goal setting and the vision for that and what they're looking to do there. That is, for an update for you all, they have requested to have all of the applicants who sent in a letter of interest to the city present to the city commission at a meeting.
Not this meeting, another.
Not this meeting, at another meeting for around the Crest Theater itself. So I think it would really just be an open conversation with you all, understanding, you all expressing some of your interests and concerns going forward, as well as us sharing, our plan that we're in currently, and as we see going forward, some things and suggestions and recommendations we have going forward.
Great.
So that's on Tuesday, tomorrow evening, and if I can continue,
Yes,
just a couple of
please,
things.
yeah, keep rolling down.
Yep, so on comments, I just wanted to give you all just an update. We have our town hall meeting. You all know, I put that on your agenda for next Wednesday, the 22nd. That is our regular town hall meeting that we have annually with our stakeholders to hear from them. So as a board member of the DDA, I really recommend each of you be there at 5:30, meet and greet, and also invite, stakeholders to this meeting. There's question and answer as part of this whole session, and really for us to gain feedback from everyone, whether they're a DDA stakeholder, which we really want, just because they're paying the tax into our budget. So, but we also, at that meeting, we're going to have a panel discussion from our property owners, commercial property owners, Craig Menon. We have Rob Walsh from IMI, International Materials, who's been a partner of ours. We have the Senior Vice President of the Fairfield Hotel, and Todd Rosenberg from Sunday Village, and Carrie Delafield, who's got 3 large retail stores in our district, to really share with us from their perspective why they are in downtown Delray, what's working, what's not, what is their vision for the DDA in the future and the downtown. And so that way we gain from that to start that discussion from other stakeholders in the room. And you can hear from them. I think it's really important that you all do also can ask questions as well. So that's next Wednesday. And then another thing that Suzanne, do you want to help share? We have we submitted the International Downtown Association. You all are aware that we're a member. We have been a member for a very long time. We've submitted and won awards in the past. However, this year we submitted for an award for public space management, and our teams and our organization managing Old School Square. And we won. We just had the Downtown Achievement Award, which is not just a merit award. It's like we actually get an award. It's an award. And a video in front of about 1,200 different downtown districts across the world. So it's pretty significant. So.
Well done.
Yeah, so they'll present the award to us at the next IDA conference, which is going to be in Seattle in September. And they're asking us for a bunch of different video assets. So they'll be putting together a video that they will kind of highlight what we've done with Old School Square and present the award to us on stage as well.
When are they doing that video?
That will be at the IDA conference in Seattle.
Oh, no,
No, we're sending them video files that we've already shot. Yeah.
Yes.
So congratulations.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats.
We put the submission in your packet too, so you have that. So that's a pretty big deal, and we'll make sure that we share more with you all. Anything else that I don't think I think those are the highlights.
Quentin,
Yep.
DDA attorney, moving on down. Bylaws and DDA board appointments.
Yes.
Updates.
You have your notes. You're showing off now. So the bylaws are a part of one of the items in the legislation that created the DDA, that the authority, or you all have the ability to create your own bylaws. It's time to review those bylaws. Have they been provided the copy of the latest revisions?
Those were sent a while ago. I didn't send them.
Yeah, not this
Okay, so we'll get that to you so you can come with any comments or suggested changes, and you can funnel those through Laura, and we'll discuss that and bring back something maybe to the next meeting, if not the following meeting, depending on the nature of the changes requested.
Could you, and when you send it, the original bylaws we're currently under and the ones that we'd had proposals for changes? You're gonna.
Yes, it's the one. The current
it's been
one,
about a year.
Yeah, the current one from last July, I believe, wasn't formally approved, but it has track changes. So you'll see the one that was currently in place versus the changes suggested. So you'll see those two, and then if there's any further changes requested, we can make those as well. Right, and that's part of one of the suggested changes from the last one, that everyone who's qualified through being tax certified renew that qualification to the board on an annual basis. Technically, once you've qualified, you're supposed to always be qualified, and you're kind of on a merit system. But the bylaws, as proposed last year, had in a May 3rd deadline, but that wasn't formally adopted by the board. But that was the suggestion, so that might be something that you all may want to follow through on and for approval. Go ahead.
When you've been abreast of what has happened, it's my understanding that we had a board member that was going to be appointed,
correct,
and was all the way through the process, correct, and then we found out, and I'm not saying we because I had no part in this, but I'm saying the city of Delray Beach then found out that they were not eligible after they were to the finish line. What is wrong with the process with the city and the DDA? And I don't need you to give me a lengthy analysis, because I know you are very smart. But are we working with them to ensure that this kind of stuff does not happen? It doesn't look good for the DDA, even though we're not responsible for the vetting process. And it definitely is a mark on the city and the process and what they continue to do.
I don't have a definitive answer to that question because I'm not involved in the process either, but we do have some suggestions that we would like to bring forward to the city.
Good.
One of which is to have the DDA have a separate application process, because if you look at the city's current application, which is typical of most cities, they have all their boards. You have the ability to apply to all of them with a single application, and you give your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice, where people who may put DDA as their third choice may not truly understand the nature of the DDA and the qualifications needed to serve on the DDA. So if this DDA had its separate application, it would be more clear as to what you need to have in order to qualify under the DDA's legislation. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be for the DDA staff to be involved in the vetting process, because they truly are the ambassadors for the downtown and know the business owners and the businesses in the district. So they may be able to help the city staff who's responsible for that to go through that vetting process to ensure, to the extent that anyone can ensure, that those people are indeed qualified. So those are
Thank
two
you.
suggestions.
And I'm sure Laura will advocate for that on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to that point, that's been part of, and that is our responsibility, and as a staff, that is our responsibility to oversee as the governance of this organization and make sure that our statute is being followed as well and implemented. So that has been part of the process over the many years that I've been here, to be part of this, of the board. And it was an initiative really from our board's goal planning and succession planning of board members to make sure that they were working to recruit and enlist board members going forward. And because there were times where we needed to do that and make sure that we were setting up for our future.
Yes, I
So
don't
it's
know.
been a long time in the
I don't
going.
know where the change occurred, but I just remember when I was going through the process, I had to apply. And the person that was going to appoint me, Commissioner Johnson, actually physically drove to my house to make sure I lived in Delray Beach. And I don't know what has happened or why all of a sudden there's a handoff approach from the actual organization that the board member would reside in. I'm not certain why they don't want the DDA to be part of that, but it was very much a wedge that just all of a sudden came from out of nowhere that they wanted a handoff approach from us. So I'm hoping that this will be a bridge to that discussion, and hopefully they will see fit that it is necessary based on what has occurred recently and closer to the last time around.
It was brought up on the May 7th meeting by Commissioner Markart that the process for all board applications and board appointments be reviewed. And then especially the DDA, since we are a very different organization, we have the statute as well. So that is what we're also looking at pulling other DDA application or board applications from West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, Miami.
Anything else?
There's one thing on that. I was just trying to look it up real quickly. It looks like, we had like 4 new people come on the board, and I think when I looked to see, is there a way we can stagger that? There's like 2 per year or something like that versus having, high turnover. If I was just trying to look at on our Delray Beach legislator, it's, I think we still have 4 people coming up that expire in 2027. Is there a way we can stagger that with one of the next 2 appointments or so? I'm not sure how that's set, but it was just something I noticed.
You want to leave early?
It'd be better.
That's something we can look into. I think it's a standard practice to stagger so you can keep some of the institutional knowledge on the board.
I think we're 1, 2, and 4, and it'd be better if we go back to.
There was some unique circumstances that created some of the vacancies before, so I think that may be what happened. So,
but if it's something we can look into before next month or so, I don't know if there's time for that or how it can work, but that just.
At this point, I don't believe there isn't, because the terms are what the terms are right now.
Okay.
I know some may be up for reappointment, some may not. So it may work itself out in that way, but it's something we can look into. Yeah.
All right, for the record, Cole had to cut out, so just you can make a note. He had to leave at this moment.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else? Any other discussion on this? Moving to DDA board members. Any thoughts, Vera? You want to start?
I do. Vera Woodson, who walks all of the Atlantic Avenue. I just have one thing left on my list because I went over them throughout the meeting to make sure that we didn't overstay our welcome. On Cinco de Mayo, once again, I was coming out of the Cinco de Mayo celebration hosted by El Camino, who has the most fabulous barbecue mushroom tacos ever. And I love them. And I came out, and on the corner where the office is, the music was blaring, and I've never heard them blare music. But the song that they had, mind you, I just came from the tequila shot party with the kids, turned the corner and came and heard blaring Back That Thing Up, which is a song that has somewhat perverse lyrics. Yes, a lot of curse words. And it was blaring to the people. And I'm sitting here going, this is not Fort Lauderdale by the beach. If we could just make sure that if our merchants decide to play music, that it is effective and it is also respectful for all of the people who shop up and down the avenue. I don't mind that you play music, but the song selection shouldn't be Back That Thing Up. And I know the words. I'm not going to go into it. I was a high school teacher, so I know all the rap words.
What time was
but this was in the middle of the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so it was a little bit jarring. So we just need to make sure that we talk to the businesses and make sure that the music that they are playing is suitable to the image that we want to portray to the people that visit and live here in Delray Beach.
And also just the noise ordinance to code.
That's
I know
true,
that
too.
stuff was louder than it was probably supposed to be on
Yes.
certain days, certain times. It's just a matter of, code staying on that.
Yes. And the last thing is on May 19th, the Spady Museum is having a family reunion. It's open to the public, so please come out and support Spady Museum because they are doing some really great things over there. And Charlene has been looping me in on all of the things. I actually donated to make sure that everything is where we want it to be. And so I want to invite all of you on her behalf to come out to the family reunion celebration on May 19th.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Yeah, my only comment, because we're having our meeting tomorrow and it comes into it, we finally, this has been about a 5-year process, Big Al's in there, and 5 years ago we realized that we do need a nonprofit possibly for the DDA, so we've been working on it, and I think when we took over the Pineapple Grove Main Street or Pineapple Grove we took that charity over, so I've been working to get that all done, so as I just got a email from the lawyer working on it that as of February are now official, that we have a nonprofit Old School Square Foundation. It's taken a while, taken about 18 months or so to get that up and running. You are aware that we're working on it, that we had it, but that was just something because tomorrow when we do have our discussions, the Old School Square had their own, they were nonprofit, so they could take donations and stuff, and so this was to enhance Old School Square. Not any plans have been made yet, or donations probably wouldn't do anything until October 1st just to get it up and running and things. But, it's just something that we can use in our, possibly have a 6-digit donation coming in, but that I've been trying to secure, but I couldn't do anything without a foundation to 501c3. But it will come up, but it's been a long process that I've been working on and paid for the annual report the other day, so everything's up and running. So just want to let you know that we could do that. Currently, it's only myself and Roy Simon. I know there's some discussion on that, but then we can see this in the future, how this goes. If it wants to be something that it'd have to be in the sunshine if we got other people in it. Reason it wasn't, so there's nothing going on, but just setting it up. So just want to let you guys know what's going on with that because it could come into our plans with the city. We're relying them for funds and donations, but it'd be nice to get people to give bigger donations so we can do more and reduce the taxpayer expense.
That's cool. Is that for like the DDA or old school or both?
Well, we had to change the direction from Pineapple Grove, so we made it to Old School Square. But if, I'd have to talk with the lawyer to make sure that, we want it for DDA. If we stop managing DDA, then, or Old School Square, it could be used for DDA or something like that to enhance. But we had to change the name and the focus from Pineapple Grove to Old School Square because that was kind of our thinking that, okay, when we go forward, we do that. But it's in the back pocket there.
Awesome. Hi. I think, hi. I just wanted to bring up some of the public comments that we heard today. I know he mentioned about the restaurants closing. I can only speak from what I know being a restaurant operator and owner. I saw El Cabana Rey is closing now. I know leases go up, and again, inflation is a real thing. Rent's high in Delray. So I'm sure there's other people that have opinions on what's going on, but I don't think it's because no one wants to be in Delray. Delray, we were busy. We had a great season, and we definitely have to prepare for the summertime, which we are. But, I think things just happen. The leases expire. People don't want to renew, and other people are coming in that are buying the buildings that want something different than what they have. So that was kind of I don't know if anybody else wanted to say on that.
That's
and
great.
Then the noise, Mavis, I know, too, with the cars and stuff, because we hear it, and I'm like, I work out of the green room at Tin Roof in the morning, and so I'm like, what was that a car? With the weird exhaust pipe. So I think getting with the city and maybe working with them, too, on what we can do, because I know they don't allow big trucks to go down Atlantic Avenue, so maybe we can work on something with those kind of cars as well. And then excited for the grant opportunity and the scholarship for the 12 Days of Christmas. I think that's very cool and something that we can work with the set on. So I'm excited to do all that. That's it.
Awesome. I'll jump on. Again, Ron, thanks for coming, and I'm always happy to talk about real estate stuff. Not always on the record, but we can catch up for coffee anytime. But a couple things that, again, every example is a little different. I'll just jump through a few I made some notes on. BurgerFi was having financial issues, as a corporation. That was an expensive spot for them. They blew out. Pura Vida's coming in. I think that's going to be a good change there. They're healthy Ossia bowls, avocado toast, and kind of like healthy smoothies. I think they'll do well on the beach. Yeah. Yeah, the Cabana deal, I was involved on that. Their lease came up. They were out of lease term. They had actually negotiated rents to move forward, but there were some other terms in the lease that they didn't want to move forward on. So we had the opportunity to bring someone else in, which again, we're going to be bringing in a concept. It's kind of like a Southwest concept called Geronimo. The owner's got like 5 different restaurants, from Connecticut and in Nantucket and a few other places. And they do some really amazing build outs as well. So I think that should be a really nice location there. Things change. The fact that that Cabana space isn't going to be vacant for one day, just shows how strong the market is. And those are, at strong rents. Lionfish, again, that's a situation where the operator owns the real estate, owning a restaurant and operating it, as well as owning the real estate. Sometimes it's fun to be a landlord. They brought a new concept in to collect rent. You've done that yourself with some of your properties. Poor and Famous, they went out, new barbecue concept coming in. That's going to be great. That's happening on West Atlantic. That's a little red and white building next to Libby West Park. Third and Third, those owners had owned it for a long time. It was a business that was getting tired. They were out of area owners that were kind of carrying on the legacy. They sold it to an owner user, Italian restaurant. Ember, again, a situation where a restaurant went out, but the owner of the restaurant owned the real estate, was running it themselves, said, hey, not interested in the restaurant game, like collecting rent. They did a deal with Campy, which is part of the Avalon Group. They came in there. And there's other ones I can go into, but a lot of these pressures that are really forcing some of these vacancies is insurance. As property owners, the insurance goes up 70%. In their leases, their triple net leases where CAM is passed to the tenants, their pro rata share of taxes, insurance, keeping the property clean, electricity for the common areas, that all gets passed through. When the tenant's paying rent, and all of a sudden, the 2 biggest costs are insurance and real estate taxes, and one of them just went up 70%, and they're responsible for it, and that's a cost to the landlord. It's beyond them. That happens. The rents on Atlantic Avenue are strong right now. If we're looking at that street in particular, I look at the stuff in downtown Lake Worth. It's like $17 to $25 a foot on the main street. They got good bones, different market. Here, I know people that had bought, the Cocoa property, for example, is a recent retail transaction, little retail units on Atlantic Avenue, and he's getting, above $60 per square foot rents on retail. That used to be restaurant rents. So we've seen a large rent increase. We are filling spaces. The Buddha Sky Bar has been vacant for 3 or so years. That had gone through some court stuff. There was a tenant supposed to go in, didn't work out. Landlord is now selling it. Again, I just put that under contract at the end of last week. So, and that was a deal that was priced at $14.5 million, 3-story restaurant landscape, and a landmark location on Atlantic Avenue that you probably couldn't make another 3-story restaurant. So, the market's still strong, but yeah, there are transitions. And again, just going back to the pandemic really screwed over a lot of these businesses, especially restaurants. You think, we're through the pandemic, whatever. We got through it, and Florida had a nice bump. But then after the bump, we've seen it fall off again, where people can travel and do other things. So, and they were hurting the pandemic. They got the bump. They kind of tried to get them out of the hole. But now you're going to see places that are, still kind of trying to carry some of that weight. So again, even owning the OG, that was a freestanding bar. I was closed by the government for 10 months. That's 10 months that we weren't allowed to open as a freestanding bar in Palm Beach County. So legally. So that affects things. So anyways, those are just a couple things. And again, I'm happy to talk about real estate anytime, offline. But that's kind of what I got there. And again, West Atlantic Avenue, thank you, Ms. Ridley and Ms. Wright, for coming. Again, I appreciate the notice, giving us the 6 months to really figure out how to do some stuff. I know sometimes people come like, hey, we want to do something next month. And, I brought up the murals just because I know it's in July and I'm want to get ahead of anything we can do to team up. So thank you for coming and staying for the whole meeting, and I'll let Aaron take us home.
How do we get at the table with like what Vera brought up with the 2 smoke shops on the west side? Is there anything we can do as far as our board with the city in that?
I think a great start would be tomorrow
Okay.
at the workshop.
Okay.
Starting with the leaders expressing your concerns and what can we do as
Well, it's a slap in the face, and anybody who signed off on it should know that.
Well, I mean, but to the point, just so there's only so many. The rules are what the rules are. So the rules say it falls into the category. So if the rules need to be changed, is what you're going to ask. The policy and the code.
It's actually, yeah,
right?
it's the use.
The
What
use.
we would do is we'd probably, as a
retail
DDA,
use.
you know, approach the city and approach Anthea, you know, and say, hey, looking at this DDA area or the commercial core, you know, whatever the area is, you know, they have a moratorium on cannabis. So, you know, maybe we want to move it to
exactly.
vape shops. You know, they can create moratoriums where they say the use is not permitted. But, you know, when they call it a retail use, it's a retail use. And the reason, you know, certain uses like the cannabis is considered a pharmacy. So if you say no cannabis, then that means no more pharmacies can come in either. So.
Right. We have to be careful because it's like you have Italian restaurants. We have a lot of Italian restaurants. We don't put a moratorium on Italian restaurants. So those are things we just have, you know, but that's an opportunity to bring up a concern. I think that recommendation is something that we can look at and working with the city, but that would be a good forum to start that conversation.
And then the other one was regarding the noise ordinance, because I know we enforce the trucks pretty good. How do we?
Well,
I got tickets for that when I lived in Meisner Park when I was little, so I know it exists.
I believe the noise ordinance is it was coming back. Is it coming back to the city and it was being reshaped?
Yep.
I think that's for businesses. I don't know if it's for the cars because
right. So that is for the businesses. But there is the noise ordinance for cars. It's a state ordinance that should probably need to be brought up to the attention of the police department, which I'm happy to do again.
And Atlantic Avenue is like a state road too, so I know that has some stuff.
And now they just moved up the penalty. Before it had to be a second offense. So finding them on something first, so we can just circle back with the chief and get that in the sergeants in the clean and safe.
Awesome.
I know they've done some spot traffic, especially with the bridge and around that area speeding. That they've been doing some extra enforcements there. So I'll circle back with them though. Thank you.
Awesome.
I think if that is all, we will motion to adjourn.
Second.
Did you make a motion? Second.
Thank you.
All right.
Aye.